Welcome to TLC for the Soul podcast, where soul meets spirit. You have entered into sacred space. I'm your host, Tammy Lynn Chambers, and I'm here to help you shine. Now let's get going on this podcast journey. Hello, friends. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the podcast. Let's get settled in for a little podcast lovin'. If you're new to the podcast, welcome to our family. Sit down, relax, join us around the sacred campfire. See if you like what you hear. If you're a returning listener, welcome yet again to another podcast episode. This one's quite interesting. Sagittarius full moon update. You know I don't typically do moon updates, but I think for these eclipses, it's warranted, especially this particular one. If you're a returning listener or you choose how you want to listen, you can invite your own guides in. But regardless of who you're working with, whether you want to be the lone wolf traveler for this episode, or whether you want to invite in your own spirit guides, join me around the sacred campfire as I wrap us all in love light and light love, inviting in the angels, spirit guides, elders, masters, wisdom keepers, power animals, totems, any and all of my guides who would like to join us here in this sacred space as we talk about the energies happening right now. Thank you to everyone who has contributed to the podcast before we just jump into our SOS update. The virtual tip jar is always open and available. Linking to my PayPal and my Cash App links are in my show notes if you feel like dropping a dime on this podcast. I can hear my son going, "Mom, that has other references. Don't say that." It's okay. So let me just do a quick little review of what's going on right now, why I'm here for this special update that really should have been Dream Lab. But I guess in a sense it might end up being a kind of Dream Lab. So several times today I've sat down and I've been like, okay, it's time to do the to start thinking about the June energies and maybe record the podcast a little bit early for June. And 2 times I sat down to do this. The first time I recorded a whole hour-long episode, and halfway through the episode, the sound got so muffled that you couldn't hear anything that I was saying. And I was like, well, there goes that. So I had published the whole thing, done all the work, and when I heard that, I was like, nobody's going to be able to hear any of that. So I deleted the episode. So if you're one of those people that possibly jumped on it and then it was gone, that is why. Then I sat down again and I'm like, why am I just not getting a hit on June or even Gemini season? Because I thought, well, maybe I'll switch and I'll just do a Gemini season update. And so I pulled some cards, I pulled together some of the spirit totems that were coming together for June, and I just was not getting, seriously, like sitting here like, okay, going, what's happening for June, and getting like nothing. Or getting something, but it's like it didn't make any sense to me. And so I was like, okay, there's something we're supposed to address before we're supposed to start talking about June or Gemini season. And the elephant in the room is the Sagittarius full moon lunar eclipse. So people have been contacting me going like, what's going on with today? And I was like, yeah, what is going on with today? I'm like, it felt very trickster energy. All the even since earlier today, but I was kind of trying to ignore it, and just kind of shield myself and just leave it at that. And I'm not saying like everything's out to get us. Like, I totally like don't believe that at all. But there are lower energies that can interfere with what we're trying to do. And I keep hearing spiritual warfare, even though at times I'm kind of like, is spiritual warfare even real? But it is, and my guides are like, of course, yes it is, you know, don't discount that. I'm like, all right, fine. And then I called in Archangel Michael, my go-to guy, and I'm like, what is going on right now? What is your advice for right now? And he said, shelter in place. And I was like, oh crap, okay, so I guess there really is something going on. You know, yeah, I'm getting chills now. I'm not like quote unquote privy to everything that's happening out there in the energy world, and I don't feel like I necessarily have to be, and I feel like I need to be, like in this case where I called in the guides and Michael's like, shelter in place. That's what I need to know right now, and that's what you are being guided to right now as well. And when I say right now, obviously you could be listening to this, you know, 2 days, 2 weeks, 2 months from now, but the message you're hearing whenever you're getting it is timeless, even though this is being recorded the Thursday before the full moon in Sagittarius. So it is timeless in a sense that if you're feeling a little off and you're listening to this like in December of 2021, this message is still meant for you, regardless of some of the current events that are happening around the message. So I just want to put it at that. So these energies around this full moon are very, very intense. There's a lot of spiritual entities that want to so many chills. Okay, so this is why I have not been able to do what I wanted to do. There have been a lot of spiritual entities who are trying to get us to go into lower energy so that we don't get, oh my God, the chills are like my confirmation, so that we don't get so that we're not in the highest vibration we need to be to receive all of the blessings that are coming through with this eclipse. So from now to Lionsgate, oh my gosh, my body. Sorry, you guys. From now to Lionsgate, looks like it's just going to be a time when we really need to up our spiritual on guard. You know, on guard. Like, what is that when you do? Is it like fencing or whatever? Like on guard. So, you know, normally I'm a little bit more like, okay, you know, I don't subscribe to like everything's out to get you, but I have to say that the brighter light you shine, the more there could be something out there wanting to dim that light. So I deleted the messed up episode of the podcast. I wrote something for us right now that I'm going to read to you. I'm going to talk a little tiny bit about Dream Lab, share a funny story, and we're going to draw a couple of cards because this energy is going to continue. This Sag full moon energy. So this particular message of the messages that they're going to give us is going to permeate for the next 6 hours after you listen to this, but I really feel like it's between now and about 3 days after the full moon. So if you're listening to this around, you know, later on, you've got about starting within the next 6 hours to 6 days out is when you're going to be experiencing, the dog is just further confirming that. You're going to be experiencing what's going on here. So I'm going to grab a deck of cards. I know I should have done that, but I was like, maybe I'm not supposed to be drawing cards, but they want me to get Happy Cloud. Oh my God. All right. I've got a lot of guides here. Holy crap. Okay, who's here? What is going on? All right. Okay, so my divine counterpart's here to support me. Thank you. Sorry. Whenever he's around, it's like it's super, super hot. Whew. Okay. First, let me start with Dream Lab because today was supposed to be Dream Lab, And I just want to actually make sure I'm still recording based on what's going on. Today was supposed to be Dream Lab, and I was like, I'm supposed to do something else today, and I thought it was, like I said, an energy update, but it's not. But I do want to check in with those of you that are following Dream Lab. We are going to come back and I think do another episode next week on Dream Lab, but we haven't practiced enough is what the guides are saying. I never was able to get mugwort, and I do want to just share this funny story to kind of lighten things up a little bit before I start pulling cards and read our Spirit Guides of Tessa Loch our metaphor story for what's happening right now. But last week I said, oh, I'm going to make a mugwort pillow, and I needed to find, you remember the podcast, I said, I'm going to go find some mugwort. And I looked up online a nursery around where I live, like I'm not very familiar with what's around here, and it was like, oh, this nursery, it's really great, we have all these hard to find things. It was kind of out in the country a little bit, and it looked like it was worth the drive. I might have to go stop this dog here in a second. It looked like it was see that? See what I'm talking about? It looked like it was worth the drive. So I got in the car by myself, you know, dressed like I normally dress. And I don't know, not everybody has seen me, but you know, I like colors. I dress, I don't know what, there's not a particular style. It's kind of like rock and roll girl meets gypsy meets artist. You know, I just have my own way of dressing, which is probably not like 99% of the people that are around me. So I go to, that's what I do. That's just what, I'm not going to dress any different. So I went to the nursery like that, and I was like, oh gosh. I guess I'm here to also do some, what is it? You know, like light, bring to the light, just light work. Just like shine a light, which is always my intention whenever I go anywhere now. I send light and love, the love light ahead of me on the journey and all of that good stuff. And so I get to the nursery, and the lady comes out, and she's like, can I help you? And I'm like, I'm looking for mugwort. And right away, her next response, I was like, oh, she's like, does that go by any other name? And I thought, oh, they don't have it. And she says, well, maybe I'll have to go ask my boss about that. And I thought, oh, okay, never mind. And she's trying to look it up on the web, you know, like on her phone, as she's walking around, like what else could be called. And I had left my phone in the car because I just didn't want to be distracted by my telephone. And so she goes, mugwort, that's not something normal people usually ask for. And I was like, okay. And then she tried to be like, oh, you know what I mean. It's not like an everyday request. I'm like, oh, okay. And I said, well, lucky it's not mandrakes we're talking about, or then we'd really be in trouble. And she was like, oh my goodness, like Harry Potter. And I thought, I really am interested in finding, I knew it was going to be at a nursery, but I think the Mandragorium is going to just take a look at that's their Instagram handle. But because mandrakes have been calling out to me. And it was just all not necessarily downhill from there, because I, you know, just spread my vibe, high vibe, or whatever I could to who was there and the plants that were there. And I met a cute little in-house kitty cat, and we hung out for a little bit. And she left for the longest time and came back later on, like maybe 10 minutes later, felt longer, but she's like, oh, I don't have that. You know, we don't have that. We have something that's pretty close to it, but that's probably not going to be what you need. And I was like, no, that's fine. And so I just left, and I was like, okay, it's probably not a nursery that's going to have very much. They didn't even really have roses, or like I could have, almost all my plants died in our winter snowstorm. And so I was looking even for some roses. They didn't really have roses. And so I think nurseries and plants, places and stuff were just hit really hard by the weather that we had earlier this year. We had two really bad like snowstorms for us. We don't never even hardly have one snowstorm. So we should keep practicing, and by practicing for our dreams, I mean setting intentions before you lay down, making sure you clear your energy. Like I don't want to go through all of it again, so if Dream Lab entices you, then I think it's the episode right before this one. You can get all the details, but if you're doing it, then you should continue be doing that, and especially the writing your dreams down as best you can upon waking. And you know, it's kind of like, why does that matter? And I was listening to Master Co today, and he was talking about something totally different. He was talking about after your meditation, you should write down what you see in meditation. And he's like, because it trains your brain to remember, and it trains your brain and your mental body to start pulling in more and more and more of that kind of imagery and those kinds of messages. And it's just helps you open even more to receiving that information. And I kind of felt that because when I had practiced in the past, that was starting to happen. So let's make sure we're writing them down, and then you can go back through, you know, maybe a week's worth at a time or whatever, and start to circle out or identify, you know, hidden themes and hidden meanings, and kind of see what you're doing in dream time. And so the next Dream Lab will kind of talk about that a little bit. So I haven't forgotten. Tomorrow, or just upcoming now here on Fridays, I am going to make the best attempts I can in the afternoons to be on Instagram Live and YouTube live stream, and just do our charity events that I've been wanting to do. I want to make blueberry mug cake, and I did put a recipe in my Instagram highlights. It's not my own recipe, it's from Pickup Limes, but it is their video and their recipe if you want to join me and make mug cakes. I will probably be doing a Q&A or something, which is maybe like drawing cards for people. I'm not really sure. I'm just going to play it as the guides want me to, based on who's on or what's going on. So let's get into the story that I just channeled for the Spirit Guides of Tessa Loch. And this is kind of what's going on right now in the energies. So it is a metaphor story like all the other stories that I write. And if you like the Bringers of the Light series, I got something done during our Wolf Quest 2021. But I did just publish the ebook of Tamber and Jameson. So if you followed that podcast series in January and February of this year, then that is now on ebook. And you can read that for free over on Smashwords, and the link is in my show notes. But when we last left off the Spirits of Guides of Tessa Loch, we left off with the Lone Wolf chapter, which is what started the whole Wolf Quest 2021. The Lone Wolf showed up for Rutger, was leading him to this river and telling him, you know, he was going to go on a little vision quest. He just had to surrender and kind of lean into it to figure out why he was being pulled out of his normal daily life to do this quest. And even though I kind of feel like for the most part Wolf Quest 2021 is over, like my 2 weeks summer vacation kind of ended, I still feel like in a sense we are in a period of unknown for this period of this 6 days out from whenever you're listening to this. So that led me to channel right after the botched podcast episode and right before this one, I channeled this chapter of Spirit Guides of Tessa Loch, leaving off where Rutger was when the Lone Wolf left him at the riverbank. And Rutger, what was he supposed to do next? Like, he didn't really know. So I'm going to read this chapter, see if we need to tease out any metaphors, or if the guides just feel like what's written here is sufficient, and then we'll draw some cards, and then we will call it an episode for right now. But this one is chapter 6, All Paths Lead Home. Rutger put one foot and then the other into the water of the slow-moving river. He looked around, but the Lone Wolf had gone, leaving him to this part of the journey himself. Rutger sighed and decided to keep going, although he didn't know how or where. The wolf had told him to trust and surrender, so he would try that and see what happened. A raft appeared in his peripheral. It looked tied to one of the old trees along the banks. He waded over to it and pulled out his pocket knife. His grandfather had given him this knife, along with the following words. "Son, it's a good thing for a man to have someone in his life someone he can count on through the storms of life. I pray you find that someone. Don't die alone like me. Rutger came back now to the river. His grandfather had indeed died alone, and it was his biggest regret. Rutger steadied the old knife in his hand and freed the raft. It looked okay and seemed to be holding water. There were even 2 oars inside and what appeared to be a knapsack full of something. He stepped onto the raft and picked up an oar, beginning to paddle slowly downstream, not really sure again where or how. He pulled out the knapsack and opened it. $2, a penny, a bottle of wine, and a girly magazine. What was he going to do with that? He needed water and some food. He dug deeper down in the pockets of the knapsack and found 2 old granola bars and some dried fruit. Oh well, he thought, stuffing the sack back down into the raft. He paddled along lazily, not too concerned about getting to the ocean, if that was really where he was headed. He recalled, still confused about the dream versus reality. Was he still dreaming? He pinched himself and decided that was a silly way to tell. He recalled what his old teacher had told him about quantum time, something about being able to jump from one dimension to another, and something about being multidimensional. His head was beginning to hurt from too much sun and not enough water, but all he had in the knapsack was this bottle of wine. Darkness was beginning to come in. He uncorked the wine and took a deep drink. Ah, nice Merlot, he thought as he drank again. The trees seemed to sigh, and the night creatures began to sing. Rutger decided to tie up the raft and spend the night under what appeared to be some sort of tree grove. The old trees, having seen him coming a mile away, had called in the magical folk of the nearby woods to help out. A stranger, another one of those spiritual journey folks, was going to be camping there. Hopefully he would pick up his trash. Rutger pulled the knapsack out and searched the grove for a soft space to make his bed for the night. He didn't think he would need to have overnight gear, but now here he was. He saw a bag under the larger tree. What the what? He thought to himself, taking a longer drink from the wine bottle. His head felt lazy and a little dizzy inside. I need to eat something, he thought as he opened the bag being offered to him. A soft but warm shirt, thick hiking pants, a warm blanket, a fire starter, and a flashlight. He had that funny feeling again, but he pushed it aside, chugging another drink of the wine. He started a fire and placed the blanket down on some pine needles. He opened the knapsack and took the granola bar and dried fruit, wolfing them down in a newfound hunger. He finished off the wine and decided to lay down. The girly magazine called to him from the knapsack. What the heck, he thought, pulling it out from into the glow of the flashlight. Vintage penthouse, as the girl on the cover leered back at him. She looked like his old girlfriend, Jenna. That had been a huge mistake. He tossed the magazine aside. Sex with Jenna had been mediocre at most. The wine tickled his senses, and he saw light coming from under the trees. He heard music and laughter. Rutger closed his eyes and took a deep breath. Opening them again, he was awash in a scene now happening around the campfire. All manner of mysterious-looking people were around the fire. An old man was playing a lyre. A young girl was brushing her long hair as another braided her golden tresses. And 3 large loons were making music, screeching against the dark night sky. Rutger didn't know what to make of this scene, so, lulled to sleep by the lyre and the wine, he closed his eyes and allowed it all to fade away. So, as you can see there, even that is very mysterious to me. So, I try not to get too much in the, Rutger versus Jenna, but it does seem like the divine masculine is still, kind of highlighted in this part of the story. I know Jenna's coming back. probably in the next chapter. But what it seems like at the most is we're being called with this next 6 days and during the Sag full moon time to journey even deeper. And not even deeper, but just knowing that you are on a journey and you still don't know exactly where you're headed, but you're being given everything you need along the way. So he got a knapsack, and it wasn't exactly what he wanted, but it seemed like it was what he needed at the moment. Although maybe not the girly, maybe he does need the girly magazine. Maybe that comes up later. I don't know. But for the most part, it more kind of like triggered him. So a magazine showed up, something showed up that triggered him. See, here we go. And he had to think back to his old relationship, which, I guess sounded like it didn't go very well. It was maybe karmic partners. And, he had to he just kind of tossed that aside. Like, I don't want to think about that right now. So he may be bypassing some stuff. And these metaphors are all for you if they feel like they're for you. Okay, so if you feel like that metaphor is not for me, then maybe it's not. And maybe you're not, the divine masculine. Maybe you're the divine feminine, and the messages might still be the same, with the players reversed. But that's kind of how these stories go, as the guides, invite me to share what's standing out the most for those that are going to be listening. And then it's kind of up to you and your guides to determine how that fits for you. But the scene around the fire was very interesting to me. Like, all these kind of people showed up. There were nobody he knew. He couldn't really understand what they were there for, what they were doing. They were elementals, of course, coming into, I don't know what they're coming in to do. So we might find out in the next chapter. That's a little uncertain. And then some of the things in the knapsack were quite interesting to me. He has $2, a penny, which I think I know what the penny's for. He had the food, which he needs. He has the magazine, and he had the wine, and he's already drank all the wine. So I think as he moves through this adventure over these next days, he's going to be using these things in the knapsack and the things in the bag, like the things he gets along the way. He's going to be called to use them in some way, shape, or form, or they're going to be an important part of this next 6 days journey. So let me just draw a few cards and see if there's anything else they want me to share. I'm drawing from Happy Cloud, which is my deck, and I'm drawing from, we always get this card, and I'm drawing from my hand-drawn deck, the Labyrinth of Dragonshire. Okay, what do you guys want us to know about this time frame? We only got 2 cards. And they're both start with the letter L. This duality is already coming in for Gemini season. I do have to say that, though. I am noticing it all over the place. And I am a Gemini sun, and my birthday is on June 3rd, and we are going to be starting the birthday week of birthday extravaganza on the podcast that coming up here probably towards the end of next week. And there's going to be a lot of, there's going to be some giveaways and stuff. So, but the card we got from Happy Cloud is Luck. You will be successful. And the card from the Labyrinth of Dragonshire has a hand-drawn L on the front, because each card is a letter in Labyrinth of Dragonshire. And on the back, the message is, why, oh, not this again. Why did you leave me? So, which is card number 1. Why did you leave me? Okay, what is coming up here? So I guess I get the sense and the feeling that a lot of people that listen are part of my, I think you are starseed spiritual seekers and divine, you're on the journey to find, or you are with your divine counterpart, because this why did you leave me card is very similar to like 5 of Cups energy, even like a 3 of Swords type of energy. But this, I do have one specific for 3 of Swords, and this is more like 5 of Cups. Like, why did you leave me? But it's card number 1, and it says, luck, you will be successful. So I feel like the people that are listening need to hear that what's coming up now is the time to go within and figure out what's going on with these past relationships that you really need to clear before you can keep moving forward, because some things are lying dormant and stagnant within you. And until you get triggered, which is what happened with the Vintage Penthouse magazine, he saw a girl on a cover. She was leering back at him. Like, he didn't see that she was seductive. He didn't see like, oh, I'm going to like open up and see what the centerfold looks like. He just was like, that girl's leering at me. And he like, and it reminds me of my old girlfriend. And that didn't go so well. And none of that relationship was good. And he tossed the magazine off to the side. So I feel like the blocks that are being cleared, or the things, the triggers and the things that are coming up for most people listening, are relationship based and need to be cleared. The triggers need to come up so you can feel the feelings, so you can clear the energies. And this did come up for me personally. I usually feel what is happening myself, like I feel it for myself before I bring it to you guys. So like, I get the energies that are going on, they come up for me, and then I share them with you because they're going to come up for you. But I usually get them early so I can present them to you before the energies start flowing in for you. And I had a really big moment like that the other night. I got really angry at my current situation, even though it's perfectly, it's fine. I know I need to be. I'm totally like on top of what my own personal journey is. Like, get really straight with your guides about your own current journey. Like, are you where you need to be? I mean, we are going into Mercury retrograde, and it has been crazy already. The shadow phase in and of itself was like enough already. And then it just keeps getting more and more. It's almost like comical in a sense, the things that are happening with Mercury retrograde. But this is the time to review, renew, recharge, receive, and get really clear on your life. Are you where you need to be? If not, ask your guides. Can you show me where I need to be? Or what do I want to manifest? Like, maybe I don't want to manifest what I'm manifesting anymore. But for me, it was like, I know what I want to manifest. I am manifesting it. It's not here yet. Divine timing is at play, which is part of what we're going to be talking about for June, is working with divine timing versus soul timing. We're going to be working with Chronos, which is a Greek time god, time deity. But I got really, in order to trigger me to be able to timeline jump into where I'm at now, I had this like meltdown moment where I was like, I'm tired of this journey. I don't want to be on it. To my divine counterpart, I was like, I wish I had never met you. So maybe I don't even want to manifest. I was like going on and on and on. And I was just like, I was really mad. And I just had to go through a whole range of emotions, and and it wasn't even like my body's tired. It was kind of like my soul is so freaking tired right now. And every time I get that way, it's right before I'm going to have a big quantum jump. So I don't know why it is. I don't know why that, is that way. But if you're feeling that way, like my soul, not my body, not my mind, not my heart, but my freaking, like my soul, just to the very core level of my soul was like, I am so freaking tired right now. I'm tired of this whole entire thing. I'm tired of coming to this planet. I mean, I was like on it. And then I tried to clear as best I could, do a meditation, have a lot of energy work done, a lot of Reiki. Like I was listening to YouTube and asked my guides to come in and help me. And then in the morning I woke up and I was like, it was a whole, like, I just had quantum jumped to a whole better timeline. I could feel it. So this is what's happening here. These things have to be cleared. This podcast is not a marketing tool for me, but I do offer personal sessions. I do help people with these exact same situations that I'm going through, that they're going through, that you're going through. So look me up if that's something you're interested in. Email me if you want to know more, but all the details are on my website, which is in my show notes. But this is coming up. This is coming up for a reason. This time period of this next 6 days is here because you've got some more work to do. You're trying to get to Lionsgate. Lionsgate is the big kahuna. and you got to get there as clear as you possibly can about how you want to move forward. And every time, these summertime, the feeling's good. Oh my God, it's that song from Regular. I love Regular show. It's an animated show, but anyway, summertime. Maybe some of you would know it, but it's the earworm. That was the show. Was about the earworm. It was about the song that got stuck in Rigby's head, and he couldn't get it out, and he just kept singing it over and over and over until they created another song to get that other song, to get the first song out. So there may be a reason that's coming up, not just about summertime, but there's old records and old stories playing in your head, in your mind, old crap that needs to be dealt with. And if you don't know how to deal with it, then you should definitely look somebody up that does. It doesn't have to be me. I know, and you just ask Spirit to help you find somebody. Pink Bella Aloha Therapy, I know she works with the same kind of stuff. She's very, very experienced. Kalina Melnar, those are just some I know personally, and I would feel confident working with myself. Otherwise, I wouldn't recommend them to you. There's many others that I want to work with, but who are not doing personal it's not even a reading, but are not doing personal healing work right now. Otherwise, I would recommend them as well. But so you got me, you got those, or find somebody to help you if you feel like you can't do this energy work yourself. Because every time I make the assumption that people know what they're doing to clear these things, people don't know what they're doing. They say they do, but they don't. They don't really know the extent of what they need to do. So, and it's worth your time, your effort, and honestly, your money to find someone to help if you can't. If these things have been looping around over and over and over again with you and you can't seem to clear them, then I definitely would find a healer who can help you. All right, let me just check in with the guides. Did I do my job today? What is this? Are you personally satisfied? It's like a feedback. Were you generally satisfied? Personally satisfied? Oh my God. Okay. All right, you guys. They're saying that is all they wanted me to share with you. So I want to thank you so much for joining me. If you're listening to this when it drops, then hopefully I will see you on Friday, which is tomorrow, on the podcast live stream, and we will have some jolly good fun time over there, and who knows what we'll do. And then the next podcast episode, this is my season. So Gemini season is my season. I'm probably going to get really communicative. I'm a Gemini. The birthday's coming up. So I may record the After Dark, our vampire series, tomorrow evening for you guys. And then definitely we will have Pinky Von Pinkerton, our Bringers of the Light series, Sunday afternoon. So I want to thank you all so much for joining me here on the podcast. And we will see you all again soon in the next episode. Take care. This episode has been brought to you by Mugwort Mavens. You know who you are. All those not so normal people out there who just are a little bit more magical than some of our other worldly folks. Mugwort Mavens is here to support you with whatever your magical needs are, be it a sprig of mugwort, a mandrake root, or a blessed belladonna flower. Come to Mugwort Mavens for your magical needs.